In Gotham City, Joker and Harley rob the biggest bank and round up several people as hostages. They tie them up and cover their mouths in printed Joker smile handkerchiefs. Harley claims that they will take them to a new world, a world of compensation and comfort. As soon as the cops finally rescue the hostages, the bombs blow them all up, to which Joker and Harley then flee on their escape vehicle. The cops give chase, but Joker casts several dollar bills, which the people fight over, blocking the road for the pursuing cops. Joker is thrilled with exploring a new world, claiming the current one is ugly and unfair. He explains that people's souls are screaming on the inside, arguing that this isn't who they are. Despite that, he claims that people are too scared to take the leap, so they will have to change the world. Harley then lobs explosives at the pursuing cops, to which she then stops the car at Noonan's bar, claiming to need a drink. Harley walks into the bar and quickly realizes that it was an ambush by the government. Joker barely escapes from enemy tanks, while Harley flees through the rooftops. She is suddenly attacked by a masked samurai vigilante, later revealed to be Katana. When she loses her oversized mallet, Harley uses a pipe to fight back against her attacker. Katana eventually knocks her out after successfully disarming Harley, which she then hands over to the army. Harley was thrilled to hear that Joker had escaped before she was knocked out. Meanwhile, political figure Amanda Waller supervises a top-secret experiment at Argus, short for Advanced Research Group Uniting Superhumans. They successfully opened a portal into another world by tapping into a mysterious woman's power. The next day, Waller visits the prison facility Belle-Reve and employs the help of convicted criminals for an out-of-this-world mission. The warden refuses to release them in her custody, but Waller convinces him otherwise, claiming to know of his side hustle, stealing supplies from the facility. First up is the recently captured Harley Quinn, but when she tries to be difficult, Waller knocks her out with a stun gun. Harley later wakes up with 3 other criminals: Deadshot, Clayface, and Peacekeeper. Agent Adam walks in on them as they get acquainted, while Waller shows up on screen to debrief them on their mission. She claims that succeeding in their mission will reward them with reduced sentences. Together with Adam, they will need to establish and protect a series of bridgeheads that will serve as the framework for conducting research and resource acquisition. When Deadshot refuses to cooperate, Waller claims that they had bombs implanted in their necks, which she can trigger to explode anytime she wishes. She adds that it also explodes on the countdown every 72 hours, unless it receives a radio signal from their end. Any attempts to escape or refusal to cooperate will end in their deaths, much to their shock. When they were about to be freed to prepare for landing, the helicopter suddenly nosedives and crashed in the middle of a battlefield. Harley was surprised to find their liaison, Adam, dead from the crash. The others break free from their restraints, and Clayface opens the hatch door with his powers. When they stepped out of the helicopter, they were surprised to find they were in a fantasy world with dragons flying around. They suddenly find themselves surrounded by armed orcs who try to attack them. They soon realize they are in a hostile environment and are forced to defend themselves. Suddenly, the ramp door opens, and a bloodthirsty king shark emerges and attacks their enemies. Harley and Peacemaker attack them with their fists, while Clayface uses his powers to mow their enemies down. Worried that there's no end to their fighting, Deadshot finds their leader and shoots him from a vantage point, which the orcs flee as soon as their leader is killed. Armed soldiers approached them when the enemy fled, but were surprised to discover they spoke their language. Horrified at King Shark eating an orc, they tried to attack him, but Deadshot shot down the leader's sword. Harley and the others were surprised to discover that the army commander used magic to summon his sword back into his hand. Clayface quickly realized they were thrown into a magical world. Just like the storybook Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, or the more common pop culture term Isekai. That said, he demanded that they be granted an audience with the king, claiming to be chosen warriors summoned to save their world, but instead ends up in prison. All the while, Deadshot and Peacekeeper are still arguing. Peacekeeper was furious when Deadshot called their so-called noble mission as ridiculous. Following the earlier skirmish, the Queen and her attendants discuss their plan to defeat the Empire. The Queen's retainers claim they needed to celebrate the earlier victory, but the kingdom's hero, Cecil, suggests otherwise. Cecil explains that this is no time to celebrate, especially with their people starving as a result of their continuous war effort. The Queen herself speaks up, displeased with those who believe this was a victory. She claims that victory will only be achieved after eliminating all of the Empire's soldiers. Cecil asks her what they will do with Harley and the others they captured on the battlefield. Although their sudden appearance shifted the tide of the battle, the Queen tells Cecil to keep them in prison, as they have no time to deal with trivial matters. He insists that their weapons would help them in their future battles. The Queen claims that they do not need such, especially with him in their ranks, the mighty knight, who was blessed with the sacred armor by the princess herself. Princess Fiona tries to back up Cecil's suggestion, but the Queen dismisses it. At the Great Prison, Harley dreams of being saved by Joker from cops who torture her during interrogation. She was displeased to discover that it was only a dream. Deadshot claims they need to escape, but Clayface reassures him that everything will work out, especially after their efforts helped the kingdom win the last skirmish. Peacemaker claims that their bigger problem is time, for if they fail to return to the helicopter within 72 hours, the bombs on their necks will explode. They were surprised to hear he was worried about the bombs. They quickly assumed he was working with Waller because he was all gung-ho about their noble mission. Peacemaker claims that the only lady he serves is Lady Liberty. That said, Clayface starts to worry and decides to escape their cell with his powers. Worried that he would abandon them, the others call the guards, and they quickly arrive. They use a special cube that restricts Clayface from using his powers. Later, the guards took them out for dinner with the rest of the other prisoners. Clayface was still displeased at them for getting him caught. Suddenly, an ogre confronts them and claims they are sitting in his seat. Deadshot is about to show them who the boss is, but Clayface convinces him to stand down, claiming they are short on time to cause a scene. He tried to smooth talk his way out of this, but got punched in the face. Seeing their comrade take a beating, Harley pisses them off, to which the others follow her lead. When the guards discover that they have beaten up the other prisoners, they return with their wands and use magic to restrain them. They throw them all into the disciplinary cells with the still sleeping King Shark. In their cell, they meet Argus agent Rick Flag, who claims to have led the first team into this magical world. He explains that they were sent here to find water and any natural resources the government could monopolize to bring immeasurable benefits to their country. Their mission is said to be even worth the risk of exploring totally unknown worlds from which they may not return safely. Deadshot claims that they are an odd team to be their reinforcements, given nobody cares if a group of criminals should die. He later coins the word Suicide Squad to refer to them as a group. Harley explains that Adam was supposed to lead their group but died in the crash. Peacemaker then quickly asks where the device is that they can use to set the timer on their bombs, which surprised Rick as he was never aware that Waller had them set to explode on the countdown. Rick claims they need to work together, but Harley and Deadshot refuse. Suddenly, King Shark wakes up hungry and seems to have smelled blood nearby. When King Shark is about to attack them, Rick calls him by his name, Nanawe, and tricks him into breaking their cell. When a guard is about to attack him, Deadshot knocks him out with a pebble while Harley blows him away with the guard's wand. Using the guard's keys, Clayface breaks free from his cuffs and uses his powers to free everyone else from their cells. With everyone freed, Peacemaker and the others cause a riot. Guards show up with their wands to restrain them, but the prisoners overpower them and lead the others to escape. Meanwhile, Cecil is reminded of his conversation with the princess, who requested to speak with Harley and the others. She is convinced they may be what they need to change the tide of war. Cecil claims he was simply curious about their weapons, which even their best technicians are baffled by. On his way to the Great Prison, the driver informs him that the place is engulfed in flames, as seen from a distance. As the carriage quickly approaches, the prisoners have already taken over the prison, to which Rick shouts at them, claiming they don't have time for this. The episode opens with the Royal Knights going up against the Beast Men of the Empire. Meanwhile, across from them, the Suicide Squad watches the two armies going up against each other. Deadshot claims that the squad needs to come up with a better plan to take down the troops. Unbeknownst to them, Ratcatcher, who is watching the battle, claims that the squad is not ready for what is coming their way. In a flashback scene, the squad and their commander, Rick Flag, find themselves in a burning castle, with Commander Cecil and his men surrounding them. Just as Harley Quinn prepares to attack him, Rick stops her. He claims that they can't fight their way to the underworld gate. He then tries communicating with Cecil about wanting to see the Queen, but since he has learned the language from inmates, he ends up insulting Cecil. Annoyed, the commander goes in to attack and throws his sword at Harley, but King Shark catches it and swallows it. He then calls his sword back, causing the sword to cut through King Shark's stomach. Before the fight can get worse, Rick once again begs the commander to let them see the Queen. Cecil is about to refuse, but he remembers Fiona asking him to give her a chance to talk to the squad. Despite his reservations, he agrees to take the squad to meet with Queen Eldora. Cuffed, they are escorted to the palace where they meet the Queen. She asks them what they have to offer, and Rick steps forward. He tells the Queen that the reason the Empire has grown stronger is because they are using soldiers from the underworld. Hearing this, the squad realizes that the Queen had intended to use the soldiers as the original Suicide Squad, but her plan had backfired when the soldiers decided to join the Empire. This angers the Queen and she has Rick arrested, keeping him as insurance until they can bring peace to her land. At the present time, the squad remains on the hill as per Cecil's orders. However, Clayface wants to help, but the rest of them think that they should remain back. Deadshot thinks that they cannot take Beast Men on their own, claiming that their training must be rigid. However, King Shark reveals that the Beast Men have not been trained, but rather brainwashed. He then points at the Beast Men and shows the squad that they are injured but have refused to stop fighting despite their injuries. When Deadshot notices this, he realizes that the person controlling the Beastmen is someone he knows. And so, the squad follows him in search of Ratcatcher. They break through the palace walls and fight off all of the Beast Men until they reach him. Deadshot assures Ratcatcher that he does not want to fight him. When Ratcatcher turns around and finds Deadshot behind him, he does not seem pleased, and gets a flashback of his time in prison with him where Deadshot would boss him around. He thinks that it is Deadshot's fault that he ended up on Earth. He then orders the Beastmen to attack the squad that they successfully managed to fight off. Clayface then asks Deadshot to shoot at the water tanks above them, causing the water to flow onto the fort's rooftop. He then uses his powers to destroy the fort since the water had turned the clay soft. Harley launches an attack at Ratcatcher, but before it can hit him, Katana dodges the attack and saves Ratcatcher before disappearing. Elsewhere, the Queen and her advisors watch as the Suicide Squad wins back her land. At the same time, Katana reminds Ratcatcher how the Emperor feels about incompetence. He promises her that he will make sure that the Suicide Squad pays back for what they have done to him. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.